Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Daily Catch Devotional. We're in Joshua chapter 1, and we're going to look at verse number 9. The Lord tells Joshua, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Joshua overwhelmed at the calling that God has on his life. There's no way Joshua's thinking that I can step into the shoes or the sandals of Moses and be the next leader of Israel. But that's exactly what God has called him to. And not only that, that's exactly what God has been preparing him for all these years. Joshua has been Moses' assistant. Joshua has been with Moses all this time. And in Joshua spending time with Moses, watching how Moses' relationship with the Lord was, what the Lord was doing, and he was raising up Joshua for such a time as this. And now that Moses is off the scene, it's time for Joshua to step up and to step in and to move into the next season of the calling that God has on his life. And God gave him some good advice in the previous verse about how he needs to be meditating on the Word of God day and night. He needs to be observing it. And if he does this, God's going to cause his paths to prosper, and God is going to give him good success. And then God finishes up this section with reminding Joshua. He asks him a question: "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage." And the answer is yes. In this first 9 verses of Joshua chapter 1, God over and over and over again says, Joshua, do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed. Be of good courage. And God goes, haven't I said this? And the answer is yes, Lord, you've said it. And you've said it again. And you're saying it again. And God is repeating himself because this is what Joshua needs to hear. Because even after all of this, even after he's promised prosperity and promised good success, if he meditates on the word of the Lord, Joshua still is afraid. And that's why God tells him, buddy, be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid or dismayed. Why? For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. I've given you some advice, Joshua. I've given you a pep talk. I'm getting you ready to lead my people. I want you to know my word. I want you to meditate on it. I want you to observe it. I want you to remember that no man will be able to stand against you, like he said in the previous verses. But Joshua, the biggest thing the Lord is telling him through repetition, the biggest thing that I want you to remember and to realize every single day is that when you're afraid, you need to remember what I've told you. When you're afraid, don't be afraid. Why? Because you, instead of choosing fear, get to choose courage and strength. But God, I'm not courageous. But God, I'm not strong. That's okay, because your courage and your strength actually isn't yours. When you're in a situation where you're afraid, don't choose fear, choose courage and choose strength. But I don't have courage and strength. That's okay, Joshua, because your courage and strength isn't yours, the Lord would say, it's mine. And the key to you being strong and courageous is the last part of this verse, when the Lord reminds Joshua of this amazing truth. Do not be afraid nor dismayed, for the Lord your God, me, God says, I'm with you wherever you go. Lord, I'm not a real strong person, you might be saying. Lord, I'm not a real courageous person, you might be thinking to yourself. Well, that's okay, because you're not, but he is. And he says, you get to tap into my courage and my strength. And when you are aware of your relationship with God, that he is with you wherever, he's with you wherever you go, all of a sudden you can have a little bit more courage and strength, because you're not stepping out in your own strength. You're not stepping out in your own courage. You're leaning onto the courage and the strength of the Lord who promises to be with you wherever you go. Even today, wherever you might find yourself as a child of God, you can say, Lord, I got some big things I got to deal with at work, or I got some heavy stuff I need to deal with at school, or I got some dysfunctional stuff that's going on with my family, and I don't think I can do it. God goes, that's okay, because I can, and I'm with you. So instead of you trying to prop yourself up to be the beacon of courage and strength in the situation, God goes, how about you lean yourself into me? And you can use my strength, you can use my courage, and regardless of the outcome at the end of the day, even if it looks like a failure, God says, guess what? I'm still with you wherever you go. You see, success in our lives, which God promised Joshua in the previous verse that he would have good success. Success in our lives comes from us constantly realizing that God's with us wherever we go. If we keep that perspective, we're successful. Lord, that thing failed, but you're with me. So it's actually a success at the end of the day. Lord, that conversation didn't quite go like I thought it would, but you're with me. You've promised it. I'm choosing to realize that. And with that, I understand that that's what success looks like in my life. We don't want to base our Christian lives. We don't want to base our ministries. We don't want to base our success off of our standards. We want to base them off of God's standards. And God's standard of success is that you remember that He's with you wherever you go. Hope you guys have a great day.